have done like a complete 180 in my relationship with money.
What better way to describe heaven on earth than a win-win situation where everybody is happy, satisfied, fulfilled?
I've got the trust in myself and in my experiences that it's okay. Like it is okay.
Welcome to the AOM Art of Manifestation channel. I'm Manifestation Coach Sterling Mire, and in this episode, I have a special guest today. Shahira Bury is with me today to explore her manifestation journey and how she's created a life she truly loves. Now, what does this have to do with you, the viewer? Well, we are all creators of our lives and of our own world. So whether we want to or not, we cannot not create our reality. So stay with me here. It'll be worth it. You'll discover how you can create an even more satisfying reality for yourself and your life. There is no limit to tapping into our ability to create anything and everything we desire, anything we conceive of. Thank you so much, Shahira, for being here today and sharing your manifestation glory stories with us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Shahira, can you share with us what your manifestation journey was like before you started working with me in the AOM system? I mean, what books did you read, or what did you try? What did you know? And just give us a little background on your manifestation journey before AOM.
Sure. For me, the very beginning, the introduction, I would say, to the whole art of manifestation is back like in the late 90s. I remember my boss at the time threw on our desk in a staff meeting a DVD of and just in his chicken scratch it said The Secret, and it was a video of the movie The Secret, and that was the first kind of introduction I'd had to any sort of idea of manifesting your own creations, basically. So, and I will say that that didn't resonate with me at the time because it just was a lot more information that I was able to take in at that time in my life. But as the years passed, there's been more and more, like, I dove deeper into the whole concept by reading The Law of Attraction. I read the book The Secret. I read a bunch of other publications on just that whole concept of manifesting and creating and just tapping into your own subconscious mind and energy. So yeah, it was like always in the back of my mind and existence, but never really with an appreciation that I had the control to create as much as I realize now through working with you.
Got you. So, what was life like for you back then? I mean, did you try to apply some of this knowledge that you read about, and what was your experience with it if you did try to apply that to your life?
I did, but I didn't like, I don't know, to describe it best. I always had an obstacle. I always had it was kind of like I would say something or think something or believe something, but then I would shut it down inside because I would always have that I equate it to having the angel and the devil on your shoulders, back in I don't know what cartoon that was, but I would always have that angel voice telling me what I knew to be true, but I would negate it in my own mind by letting the obstacles that were there overcome. So I didn't actually put it into practice the way I could because I let resistance get in the way is the best way to describe it.
So it sounds like to me that you were kind of struggling
Yeah.
with trying to understand the basic concepts of law of attraction or manifesting, creating your destiny.
Believing it. Yeah, I think truly believing it for what it was, because it's not complicated. And I think I made it complicated because I made it more, I was that person that, well, I could have this if, and I could do this if, and always kind of uh, how do I explain it? Just being my own obstacle. So yeah, struggling with just the ease of what you think about. You get what you think about. And I wasn't thinking about the right things, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people experience a lot of confusion. They read a lot of information that's great food for thought, but then there's
Don't know
no
how to put
way
it
to
into
apply it,
application. Yeah. Yeah.
right? There's no
Yep.
application. There's no way. It's like, well, how do I bring this knowledge into my life? How do I apply it? And then it just becomes very confusing. And I could see why it would be confusing because unless you've got some kind of solid map or step by step, I mean, how do you know what you're doing or if you're doing it correctly or, how to go about it? And that's been my experience talking to a lot of people about what their experience of manifesting has been like, whether they're watching videos or they're reading books and listening to talks and podcasts or whatever there is. It's like, yeah, this is great and it makes sense and it rings true, but you can't see bridging the gap
That's
between your own
exactly.
life and that knowledge seems to be such an obstacle that most people cannot seem to connect the two,
Yeah.
right?
I've always had a thirst for it and a desire to understand and knew that I had the power, so to speak. But like you say, I didn't have a process to follow. I let it, yeah, I just let it be complicated when it didn't have to be because I didn't really apply what I was learning in the most practical sense and make it happen.
Right. Got you. Okay. So let me ask you this. There are different areas that make up our lives. There's relationships, there's finances, there's careers, there's in work, job, whatever.
Yeah.
Health, there's home, there's travel, adventures, hobbies in our lives, all of these areas that make up our lives, each and every one of us. We do have these commonalities. So my question to you is, what can you share with us that's different for you in those areas of your life? And I realize this is kind of a broad question because I'm talking about all these areas of your life. But what's the difference that you've experienced by utilizing the AOM, being able to take this knowledge and apply it to your life? What's the difference between the before and after having done that? Can you give us some examples, maybe like starting with your relationships?
Yeah, when I think about all those categories or aspects of our life, I know that the before version of myself, when I would look at any of that, like a relationship, my relationship with money, thinking about my career or travel or a trip I wanted to take or whatever, I think I came at all those thoughts of into the future by what I needed to do to, or like an excuse on why it might not happen. Like coming from a place of thinking, um, how do I describe it? Just basically, where I'm at now is instead of when I look at something, when I want something, I think about how am I going to make that happen? Like it's just a different approach is the best way I can describe it. I don't know if I'm helping it make sense, but let's use money as an example. Instead of, I think you asked relationship, I can use both because it's a relationship with money that has completely changed for me. That working with your system, I have had such a breakthrough in that regard because money before was something when I thought about money, it was always at a place of fear or worry or concern on how I was going to get more or what I needed to do to get more, or you wish to win the lottery and all this crazy stuff that we tell ourselves, but we're always coming from a place of what we don't have. I definitely have done like a complete 180 in my relationship with money. I don't worry about it. I don't fear it. I just have completely let go of any energy around it. And it comes to me in abundance. It comes to me in the most crazy ways, and I recognize it and I am so grateful for it. But I don't worry. all about money. It'll always be there when I need it. And that has been a dialogue in the start that I told myself, but now it is like an actual inner feeling. Like I have total trust in that I'll never have a concern about money. And that's huge. Like that's been a massive, massive lesson for me in terms of this process, because it's amazing what the obstacles we put in our life without realizing it. And money is a huge one.
You know, that is a very big one for most people. We are in a society that tries to tell us all the time about the lack that we have and how we are always in touch with that lack because the society and the media and everything that comes at us all the time is constantly trying to reinforce that message that there is lack. There's the have and have nots. And there's everybody else has more than you do.
Yes.
And you must have more because you have so little. All of these messages,
It's
which
horrible.
keeps everybody in this state of lack. But the truth is, and if you can connect with that truth, which you've done, I've had huge breakthroughs. I mean, it's one of the most satisfying breakthroughs I've had. And I think because there was so little power around it that I experienced beforehand, that when I did tap into this power of limitless resources, limitless money, and relating to it in such a different way.
Mhm.
Now it's like I relate to money as always around me. It's as abundant as the air that I breathe. Like there is no limitations. There is no such thing as lack. When you can transform that relationship to it, such as that, it shows up as that kind of abundance. And it's amazing. It's through this work and through this application of AOM, myself as a participant has been able to continue to expand and grow in what that can look like.
Mhm.
With each breakthrough, I expand more. Okay, so what am I going to create next? And how much bigger can I expand and grow my manifestation abilities and powers? And with each breakthrough, you expand and you deepen your
And it's
manifestation
exciting. It's
powers.
not, yeah, it's exciting. It's empowering rather than being fear-based or cause worry. Like that's the hugest breakthrough for myself. I don't get caught up in stressing about, especially money. I just let it go, and you allow, like you said, you allow it to come in when you release the fear and the restraints that you put on yourself around it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now it's like instead of saying, what can I have? It's like, I'll take this, I'll have this, I'll have that. And I
Yeah.
know it's handled.
Yeah.
So you choose not according to what you think you can have, but you
Mhm.
choose according to what it is that you simply
Mhm.
want.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So, I mean, that is incredible. I love that. With regards to relationships, what would you say is different, including like even your relationship to yourself as far as who you are to you? What is different? Can you give us some like A, B accounts of like, well, before it was like this and now it's like that?
I so in a nutshell, I have so much more self-acceptance, self-awareness, self-love. I definitely was like everybody else, we're our own worst critic. The things that we tell ourselves, we wouldn't tell some of our closest friends. Like we wouldn't, the advice or the inner dialogue we have with ourselves quite often, especially as women too, we can be hard on ourselves for not being enough, for not having whatever with respect to body image, to health, to how we are as a parent, as a significant other, like all those different things that I have come to accept myself so much more and love myself for who I am and who I can be. And I definitely have around my relationships with like all people in my life, my kids, my friends, my everything. I'm at a different perspective on it in that I now look at people that come and go in my life. And because I'm in an industry that I meet a lot of people and I'm around a lot of people every day, I have found it really interesting in the last, like, since I've been working with you, how people, the lessons we learn from people, the experiences we have, and how the more self-aware I am, the more I realize the people will come and go in your life that I used to hold on to. I used to, talking about the old me, worry about if I wasn't pleasing, someone or something, or having them not be happy with me for whatever reason. I'm not saying I've become cold, but people graciously exit your life that aren't there for your joy. Like, does that make sense? Do you know what I'm saying? It just really, I've really experienced that and embraced it and accepted it, that I don't, I just have very fulfilling relationships now with myself and with others. And I'm okay with the ones that have exited my life. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you're at peace
Made
with it.
any sense?
And it does make a lot of sense. It's through, I mean, my experience too is like through this work, it's amazing how the universe helps draw in the people that are empowering, that are joyful, that are optimistic, that are supportive, that are loving, that are generous, kind. And then the ones that are toxic, they just seem to poof, disappear. And it's like you don't even have to have a hard conversation and say, hey, I don't want you to be a part of my life. They just somehow disappear and back into the ether, and then you're
And
just left
without
free.
conflict, without, yeah, like I totally, I think about acquaintances, close friends that we've grown apart and together over the years. And it seems like when I reflect back, the times that they were like away, it was okay. Like it was right for me at that time. And I didn't recognize it as such, but now I do, that I was creating that because I didn't want that in my life at the time. So yeah,
Yeah, and that's the operative word. You created it. You
yes.
created it, what it is that you wanted, and everything that doesn't align with that. And that goes for any area of your life. Whatever doesn't reflect what you created disappears, and everything that you want just shows up. And if you've noticed, as well, we've talked about it, how effortless that is, in that it's a different way of approaching life. Before, we would chase after things, try to get things, put all of our attention on this outside world to try to grab this, whatever it is that we wanted, chase after it. But now, because of this work and this application, things just show up, things come to you. And, and there's a lot more ease, there's less effort in having those things in your life that you truly want. Have you
And
noticed,
when
right?
something, yes, and when something, like, I think around my career, when something doesn't work out, when I don't get a client that I've wanted, or something happens that the old me would have been like caught up in the negativity of it or the drama of it, and I wanted to make it work. Now I let it go, and it's like there's a reason this has happened, and it's because this is what I'm creating, and it always ends up being for my greater good. I don't find out till later, and I don't even care to find out. I just know it in my heart that it's okay, like, let it go, kind of thing, and I do. And that's a breakthrough for me too, because I used to be more of that um, people pleaser, but also with the idea that I needed it. I needed to have this. If I didn't, it made it mean that I wasn't good enough, and that's a story that I no longer tell myself at all.
Right. Yeah, true. And it's interesting because whenever something doesn't happen, uh, I always find the evidence as to why, and realize, yeah, like you're saying, the greater good. Like something will surface and then will reveal why that
Yeah.
was not for me. And I was like, yeah, it's like a blessing in disguise. You could call it that, or you dodged a bullet or whatever. And then it's like, wow, everything really is on track perfectly and
And
divine.
to come from a place too, that for me, this is a huge step to not even worry about finding out. Like, I don't need to know
Yeah,
the reason. I just know at the time that it's okay. This is happening for my greater good and it's okay. And that's huge.
right. Yeah,
Basically.
absolutely. And to have that peace
Yeah.
and that certainty that everything really is on track, to just there's a knowing. It's not a hope. It's a knowing that it's all in perfect order.
And that's given me such a, and I know I've said that to you, given me such a sense of calmness and like a grounded feeling because before when you get caught up in all the worry of what hasn't even happened yet, but just worrying about it, you're everywhere. Like you're not grounded, not centered. And that has been like that ease is one of my biggest takeaways from this whole experience is just living my life with much more calm, ease, and understanding that I've got it. I've got the trust in myself and in my experiences that it's okay. Like it is okay. And that's not being flippant or naive. It's just being completely trusting in that I know I've got it. I can create exactly what I want as long as I put my mind to it, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Is you clarify what it is that you want and just allow it to happen. So how does that make your experience of life in general different?
It's being able to um regardless of the situation. Like, I'm not saying I don't have problems. I have every day, I have different obstacles coming at me, different experiences with my relationships, with my career, with my life in general. But it's how I approach any sort of um, obstacle that's completely different now. And I know for you, doing this for years and years, it's just a reflex. You don't even consciously do a state change in your own experiences. Myself, I'm still at a point where when I'm feeling some sort of adverse reaction, like sadness, anger, frustration, whatever the case is, I stop and check in with myself now. And I'm like, why am I feeling this? And I just have a whole process that it happens naturally, it happens quicker, and I'm able to just make the distinction on why this is happening and why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, and just work through it and get to a place of empowerment instead of having it overwhelm me way faster. And it's been life changing in that respect because it's so easy, especially in the world we live in. If you are paying attention to everything around you, it is constantly designed to bring you down. Like it just is. And it's how you approach things and how the meaning we give things is the ticket, because that's part of what I've learned too. I have attached meaning to so many experiences in my life and situations that happen daily that I used to, I should say, attach a meaning that had something to do with what I was doing wrong or how I wasn't good enough or whatever the case is. But yeah, it's been so so helpful to just know that there isn't anything I can't overcome because we are our own creators. Nothing has, like you've said, nothing has inherent meaning without, like, that we don't give it, or I'm saying it incorrectly. You can correct me on that. But it's nothing has inherent meaning without our permission, basically. And that's what I've really, really tried to go back to every time I have a situation that's stressful or whatever, is just, what am I making this mean? And then working through it.
It's liberating. It's really liberating
Yeah.
to know that, to live by that truth, that nothing has inherent meaning, that we are the ones that assign the meaning. And the meaning that we give to everything is going to dictate our experiences, the results that we get in life. Absolutely. So that is a huge one, to get. And when you have that awakening, when your awareness is fully charged and awakened, then
Yes.
you're aware of it. You can change the narrative right there on the spot, experience something completely different, and get a completely different outcome
Yeah.
than it would have been if we were asleep at the wheel at life, right? So, we always talk about that life is a series of creations and experiences. So, it's completely up to us what we create, experience, and then get a result from.
Yeah. I know I would, during the past year, some obstacles I've had in my personal life, I would get caught up in thinking about the past, in like regret or I should have, woulda, coulda, and then worrying about the future. What if, what if, what if? And when I would stop and just check in with myself and be like, okay, if you're living in the past and worrying about the future, you're totally missing the moment. Like I'm basically not anywhere. I'm not present, I'm not past, I'm not future, I'm just lost. And that distinction, that ability to just check in and get present and be and stay present, and you've given me different tools to work with that. That's been incredibly empowering as well, because quite often that's what we do just as human beings. We're caught up in, once I get this, life will be better, or once I do this, I'll be happy, or regretting things that happened in the past. And it just it's so incredibly calming to just be in the moment, not concern yourself with anything around this exact moment.
Right. Yeah. It really is. It's so satisfying and fulfilling to live life like that, because otherwise you're in a state of lack or unfulfillment
Oh,
consistently. And
fear.
I know
Fear is huge.
most of us, we live our lives, and I know I've done this a lot of my life, where it's almost like you're like
Yeah.
this until you reach a goal, right? And then you reach that goal or something
And you're
good
still laughing.
happens. And then you're like, oh, and you relax for about 5 seconds. Then you get into this mode again for however
That's the way to
long,
live.
it might be days, weeks, months, years before we finally have that moment where, something happens that we want, and we spend most of our lives in in the process of life,
Yeah.
not in the destination
Not
of life.
in love. Yeah, absolutely.
And that destination periods are fleeting because we go, okay, that's done. What's next? And we get back into this stress mode, this, dissatisfaction mode until we breathe a sigh of relief for a second. And then we go back into that cycle.
Yeah,
That's no way to live.
it isn't. Been
It,
there. It's not, because you're never satisfied.
no,
You always have an excuse why. Like you always have a reason. Something has to happen before you can be happy, before you can be successful, before. Just be it. Just be it now, you know?
exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. And what about health? How is that different from before? We're kind of talking a little bit about that, but we're talking about like mental health right now.
Yes.
So how is
That,
health and
like physical health and mental health,
yeah, both?
just my whole um feeling about myself. Like it's been a complete transformation that way. I definitely have so much more control over my emotions, over the things that we just talked about, how you can let easily your mind get away from you and create problems where they're not even there to be created. But yeah, my health has changed in the sense of I just have an appreciation for myself, my physical body, my mental, my mind, my ability to take charge of my existence. Like it's hard to explain, but it's been like this aha kind of experience, aha moment kind of experience where I just stopped with the excuses, so to speak, on myself, on why I can't move forward and just moving forward. I don't know if I answered that.
So, I mean, when it comes to health, do you feel like do you feel satisfied? Do you feel fulfilled? Whereas before, was it not so? Or
Definitely feel more content about like everything about myself. It's not when I think of health, when I think of before, I should say, it was always like I should be doing this more. I should eat better. I should exercise more. I should like all those things we tell ourselves. And I'm not saying I don't do that or I do that now. I just have a different acceptance with myself. I have embraced my health at a way different level than I was before. And I'm more passionate about taking care of myself in mentally and physically than I've ever been. And that's been a breakthrough for myself as well, because my health is important to me for so many more reasons than just the physical.
yeah, I mean, our health really is everything. Our health is our wealth, it's our foundation. We've got to really take care of our health so that that's the wellspring from everything that gets created, So um that's just so fundamental. And I think a lot of us think of health as being like, am I able to fit into this
Yeah.
size four?
Yeah.
That's
Am I
how,
going to look going to this place or whatever? Yeah, no.
yeah, yeah. And how's my skin? And is it glowing enough? And, things like that, when really health and vitality is how we feel. If we feel amazing, then that's a great
Really.
place
Yeah.
to, you know, move forward in life, to create
Mhm.
the things that we want, to ensure that we have the things that we want, because we're starting out feeling great. So, of course, that's a great place to start with fulfilling on everything else in our life that we want to create and experience. Was there anything that you achieved through applying AOM that before maybe you thought wasn't possible?
I think just the simplicity of how much, like my approach to everything. It's just, I, the art of manifestation is, it sounds complicated and yet it's very simple. But that for me, just the fact I can do whatever I want to do as long as I believe it. And that is just that belief, that trust. That is for me what's been the biggest um takeaway, the biggest, like I have all sorts of different facets of my life that have changed, but just my self-awareness and self-knowing of what I can do has been for me the most important element of all of this.
So that's what kind of surprised you the most?
Because yeah, because I did like I've always known, I've always had enough exposure to this kind of way of life, but I've never really believed it to be as simple. Like, because it is, it's not complicated if you apply the process. Like you taught in your book, in my time with you. It just, yeah, that's basically the way I would answer that question is just my finally clicking of just how I can do this and it's not complicated.
Right? Yeah. I can totally understand what you're saying because, I've been there myself thinking that life was complicated until, working this system through the experience, it had me realize that, oh my gosh, yes, it's simple. All the complications and confusions that I faced were completely by my design, but however, they never existed in truth. They were just an illusion that I came up with. And when you think about confusion and complications, I don't think there's a person in the world that doesn't think their life doesn't with consist of confusion and complications. That's how most people relate to life, as that. And I know I did.
Yeah.
When you discover the simplicity, it's just like such a relief. It's so amazing how you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't have to put as much effort into things. I don't have to try as hard. I don't have to overthink. I can just do this, and this, and things just fall into place. And it's really easy and it's simple. And
You
it's such
explain
a
that
relief
well.
to discover that. Yeah.
It's letting go, or pardon me, it's understanding that I complicated most
Yeah.
of my life before. That's basically what I was trying to say. Is it's not that difficult. And when you understand the control and the power you have to create, it just it's enlightening. It's fantastic. It just
And
feels
it's lightning too. It's like
it
taking the
is.
weight off your shoulders. It's like stress-free living. It's like, yes, what a relief. I know, right? And
It's
it's
just
incredible to discover that. When we talk about discovering things, I always talk about how there's a lot of concepts out there, and concepts are great food for thought. They're a
Mhm.
great thing to think about, to ponder, but it doesn't change our lives. I listen to people's talks. I think it's great, but it's never going to change my life. What changes my life is applying a system that works and experiential learning. I learn through experience. You learn through experience. I'm sure there was a lot of times I told you things and you were like, that sounds great. I don't get it. And then you come back and you go, oh, now I understand it. I
Yes.
understand what you've been saying all along now. I got it. Like you had that experiential learning
And
moment.
we only, I find, like I'm like this, and I think most people are, you only are able to learn at the time what you're open to accepting. And there was a lot of time during our experience with one another where wasn't resisting it, but I wasn't believing it enough to make it my reality because of the obstacles or whatever I was creating in my mind. But as time passed and as I just let go of the resistance and just
Resistance.
trusted, yeah, that word, but it's true. It's like there's a whole other way of living out there. And it is very, very comforting and empowering and peaceful to be at a place where you just have trust in yourself that you got this. And that's basically how I feel now and I've kind of got more obstacles in the last few years than I've ever had in my, like the last probably 20. And so to be able to, um, go through my life now and my future with that feeling, with that, um, just true acceptance and self-awareness, it's awesome because I'm quite relaxed, whereas the old me would have been, I would have been a mess. Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that a lot. With the AOM system, I always say the best way to describe it is what you don't know. Because you and I both lived in the old world, the old way, whatever you want to call it. And it always seemed like you go from one extreme to the other. You're like, was my experience this, I'm going to do this. This isn't working. Now I'm going to go to this extreme. This isn't working. And
Mm.
you never knew that there was this, like, almost like I call it a third portal or a third option that you didn't even know was an option, didn't even know it was there. And you discover that, and it's like, that is the solution to everything. But you didn't even know before AOM. I didn't know before AOM that that even existed.
Absolutely. And so
So,
many people are walking around living life just stuck in that moment of time or that experience or whatever and can't move past it. And it's yeah, doesn't have to be that way.
or it's just repetitive,
Yeah.
just repetitive pattern things that we get. And oftentimes it's really easy to be resigned in life and to give up and just go, I guess that's my lot in life. I guess that's just the way it is. And,
Or this always
I just,
happens to me, or I'm, yeah, or blaming, yeah, no. No.
right, right. And feeling so helpless and hopeless when we never knew that it was all within us. We're always trying to change this thing and change that thing around us to try to make life work for us, never knowing that's not where to put the attention. Put the attention here, and all of this changes. And it
Exactly.
turns into a win-win situation, and everything aligns peacefully, harmoniously. And like I said, it's a win-win situation. So we're getting what it is that we want, satisfaction and happiness in our lives. And the others around us are getting satisfaction and happiness too. There's no, this person wins and that one loses or anything. So it really is a heaven on earth kind of existence, that I've experienced, because what better way to describe heaven on earth than a win-win situation where everybody is happy, satisfied, fulfilled. They have the success, the recognition, the purpose in life that they're fulfilling. And it's just a rich way to live. Um, I'm curious to know if there's any kind of breakthrough story that you may have, or something that you have to share that you've gotten through this process. It could be any area of your life. It could be in health or relationships or work and career, home. Uh,
I've had so many mini breakthroughs and like that's what because I'm not like this whole experience has been a massive breakthrough, but just I don't know, just thinking about even the other day, I woke up late. I had like all these things that happened that would normally knock me down because when you stub your toe and then you drop your stuff like that sort of snowball of all sorts of stuff that can make you miserable. And I had this is just a minor example of a mini breakthrough, but I had a day where a lot was going wrong, you could say, and I just stopped and I laughed. I'm like, what the heck? Like, get yourself in check here. And I not only laughed it away, but I completely changed the trajectory of the day by just taking a minute to get myself in myself, basically, because I had allowed it to happen because of how I started my day. And so that for me, like just to explain it better, to pull myself out of that situation, the old me would have had a full day of just snowball effect of crap happening, and I didn't. And that is a breakthrough because I think that way often now. If something isn't going right, I stop and I'm like, what's happening? What, like, I check in with myself so much more than I ever used to. And I'm constantly at a place where if I'm not feeling 100%, then I'm getting present in that moment and figuring out why and making that distinction on what is going on and then changing. And that just that just has an effect on everything I do because it's a great way to live in general because it just keeps you always on track. And I'm not hoping, I know it's going to happen. It's going to come a day where I don't have to do that check-in, but I don't have, it just will happen naturally. I'll just switch the way the day is going or an experience is happening, because it's just going to be a natural process for me. It's not going to require any extra thought. It's just going to be like you, a reflex. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's like a reflex. I mean, not that it's even taking a lot of effort to stop, but you just check in and you just go, this, you kind of walk through, consciously. And because it's a different process than before, you want to spend a moment, maybe 30 seconds, just to walk yourself through, use the tools from AOM to transform, like waving a magic wand, transform what's not working into what is working for
Yes,
you,
yes.
and you just go step, step, step. Okay, good. Back on track. Everything's perfect. Awesome. Right. And then, like, because I've been practicing it so long, yeah, it's like switching tracks, it's like, oh, off track, now I'm back on track, boom, like that, and it's easy even in the beginning, but it does become more like a natural response or reflex.
Like
Um,
if someone says something to you that like negative or I don't know, I can't think of an example, but just normally a person's response would be to either defend themselves or to get caught up in that experience and think about it all day or whatever the case is. It's just a different, that for me, that's a big breakthrough because I don't get caught up in the muck, and I just don't. And that's huge because that ripples into everything. It's something so simple, but it's really quite significant in itself because it has such an effect on how I approach my day and my experiences with people all day long.
right. Yeah. And a lot of times, people wonder if we can, affect others or manifest for others or change others. And it's like we can
I ask you that.
by
Yeah.
who we're being. We are so powerful influencing others that
I,
it's remarkable. And like I always say, and what I've always experienced, if we're being that kind of authentic light, if you will, it will devour anybody's darkness. It will totally illuminate, disappear their darkness. And all we have to do is work with ourselves, and everything around us changes. We no longer have to try to wrestle with circumstances or situations or people, because we know what it is that we could do with ourselves that will then transform everything. And it is such a fearless way of living. It is so, like, I have clients that say, I don't even fear death anymore. I don't fear anything, because you have this clarity, this knowledge, and these tools all coupled together. And that just disappears the fear, because you're always able to create and produce the experiences and outcomes that you want. And everything is okay, always. At the beginning, middle, and end of the day, everything really is okay. It's like the veil, the illusion of life is lifted, and you have this clarity and insight where that truth sets you free and empowers you. And, it's the opposite of that confusion we were talking about, having
yes.
that clarity. So, well, before we wrap up our interview, I just wanted to ask you what, if there's anything else that you want to share about this work and about manifesting the AOM system, and we'll end on that note.
Just it's been such a blessing in my life in the last few years that since I discovered your book and discovered you, I I can't imagine where I would be right now if I didn't have it, because I have been through ups and downs and you've been through them with me. You've you've experienced when I'm not on track because it's so evident in my experience of life at that time. And yeah, it's something that I encourage encourage all your viewers, like this interview, it's not scripted, it's not, I feel like I haven't made sense at times because I'm just have so much I want to say and yet I can't put it into words. But this whole journey has been for me life changing because I have this sense of comfort now that I haven't had in a long time. I don't know if I've ever really had because I just look at things so differently now, and it's been enlightening. It's been very, very uplifting and helpful, and just yeah, it's I'm really grateful that I have it.
Yeah, I'm grateful that you have it. I'm grateful I have it. And I'm grateful that we have been able to work together. What a blessing it's been for both of us, really, So thank you for trusting me and the AOM system with your life and allowing it to work the magic and miracles that it really does have to offer everyone. So thank you very much for being here and just sharing this AOM journey, this manifestation journey with us. I'm so excited for what's more to come and what more you're going to create and to hear about that. So thank you so much for taking the time out to share with us,
Thank you.
AOM.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you for watching today's episode. I really appreciate you being here. Please leave comments in the comment section. If you're interested in learning more about AOM, we do give free consultations, so contact us at getyourlifenow.com. There is a little form you can fill out at the bottom of the homepage that will come directly to us, and we will organize your free consultation to talk about what's possible for you, your life, and AOM. Thanks again for watching. I will see you next week. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. We do rely on your subscriptions to stay on the air. So please do that. Thank you again. I'll see you next week.